Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. I hope everybody had a safe and happy Memorial Day weekend. And I'm sure we all spent time reflecting on those that have given their all for this country and honoring them and their family members who had to deal with their loss. Just about every little town, every hamlet, everywhere across the country, there's plaques and memorials you can find to people who have lost their sons, now daughters, fighting for liberty and the Constitution is what we're told. I waiting for the now went a whole minute to say that watching Biden putting that wreath up, you can't help but get perturbed, very perturbed. But you still don't want to overshadow the times that you spend honoring those who lost their lives, who answered the call. And for now, we just have to look at that person and shake our heads, and our time will come in a lawful manner with honor, that the history books will resonate throughout generations how we got our country back. So with that having been said, I want to see who all's come in. Bubba, how you doing? You made it first. Haha, Doc's right behind you in rubber toe. Hi, Diane. How are you? Haha. Whoops, Diane, I put you on the screen. Good evening, and God bless you too, Diane. I put you on the screen there. Get my finger on a button. Hi, Ingrid. Hi, Sharon. Hi, Quilt. Sin. Brighter day. Good evening to you. Let's see. Okay, everybody's rolling in. Good to see. We got to keep our chins up. We are in the battle. We are in the digital battle. We're in the information operation, information dissemination operation. So many young men got, like my father, got a letter from the president. One day they're doing their thing. Next day they got to get on a bus and go get their head shaved and get up at 5 o'clock in the morning with that trash pail flying down between the bunks. Get out. Yep. Time to get up. So got to get up this morning. Hi, Joe. Let's see. Where I'm at? Okay, B-Dog. Sin. Joy. Let's see. Hi, Melinda. So anyway, on my thumbnail, I thought, things are slow. You know what? We all get in the habit. We got to find some kind of new boom, new, more proof. Oh gosh, or something to spur us into conversation. But there's so much that has been going on where we just gloss over things that are very important, and we don't get in depth in them. There's always something to talk about. Notice in my thumbnail, I put a dangerous man in quotes. And I remember it being said many times that the founding fathers of this country were dangerous men. Even at his advanced age, Benjamin Franklin had to be a dangerous man to protect himself and protect his countrymen. But he's also known as a man of letters. And a lot of his letters he wrote talked about fealty and love for your country and for your countrymen, and that includes women, of course. I'm just using older vernacular, and I still hold doors open. Okay, for ladies. All right, haha. Not for Dylan Mulvaney or whatever his name is, Brian or whatever his name is, but. So I got that quote from the judge that was sentencing that Proud Boys or Oath Keeper. I'm sorry, Oath Keeper founder. He said, the judge said that he was intelligent, articulate. He did not say, from the quotes I heard, that he was an evil person, a bad person, or even call him a criminal. He said he was intelligent, articulate, well-spoken, accomplished. And he ended up with saying, that's what makes you a dangerous man. So the next part of the thumbnail is what they don't know. And that can be taken a number of ways. But what we've been trying to do is get the, quote, normies, or the people that have a modicum of hope of seeing the light, get them to know what they don't know, to educate and inform, since we don't have a reliable way of delivering news in this country. It's all been commandeered. So it's up to us. And there's so much that they don't know. And there's so much confetti that's thrown up that when they say, oh, I don't like Trump because of X, there has been all kinds of confetti thrown in the air where you may not be able to laser-like focus on why they have a misconception that is harmful. Okay? So, like they say, they talk about Trump and Epstein. They got one or two pictures from the 80s or 90s, or whenever there were old pictures, even doctored photos, obviously doctored. And they say Trump was with Epstein too. Well, the stuff we know about Epstein and the stuff that gets way out into the weeds or way into things that are, as I've discussed in the past, a little too graphic and rough to talk to normies about. Aside, all that aside, what they don't know is that Epstein had a sweetheart deal and was doing his jail time on his own island. And that half the Virgin Islands government was beholden to him with bribes. And that's all coming out. But what they really don't know is that would have all never been found out if it wasn't for Donald Trump. Donald Trump had that sweetheart deal rescinded and had Epstein rearrested. That's simple, easy to remember, and a matter of fact. Donald Trump had Epstein's sweetheart deal rescinded and Epstein rearrested because the deal they gave him was unlawful. Trump inherited a labor secretary. His name escapes me, but I showed the video where this person was made to resign from Donald Trump's cabinet because he approved, prior to Donald Trump being president, He approved that sweetheart deal for Epstein. But the government, such that it is, he ends up being a labor secretary for Donald Trump. So Trump found out about the illegal deal. He got the explanation why this gentleman did the deal. And he said, I was told by top intelligence officials to leave Epstein alone. He belongs to intelligence. Okay, you still got to go. But Trump let him down easy. This former labor secretary, because he was honest. And he was just doing what higher ups were telling him to do. Anything goes, especially under the Obama administration. You know, they had zero scandals, right? But people don't know that Trump relieved his labor secretary of his duties for giving that sweetheart deal, had Epstein rearrested and put back in prison. Southern District of New York, the lead prosecutor there was dragging their feet on Ghislaine Maxwell, stonewalling and stonewalling and stonewalling. AG Barr, at Trump's direction, decided to reassign this lead prosecutor from the Southern District of New York and let him know what his reassignment was and where he needed to report. Well, this lead prosecutor, who was running cover for Ghislaine Maxwell for years, he refused his reassignment, so he was fired. And Ghislaine Maxwell, within weeks, was picked up at her mansion somewhere up north in Connecticut or wherever she was at, New Hampshire or somewhere. And she's currently serving decades-long sentence in prison because of Donald J. Trump. That's what they don't know. It's not reported. So it's pretty simple when you know the facts. But it's hard to know the facts when nobody will report them. All this business about, what was his name? The producer, oh gosh, I forget it. Homely looking, heavyset guy that was a real powerful producer. And that was all in the news. Him coming to court with a walker. And they were all reported on that. They all reported on that. But they didn't report his ties to Epstein, his ties to a lot of stuff. And he also went down during Trump's administration. What was his name? Hi, Lori. Jersey Joe. Let's see. Hi, Sherry. How you doing? So we're seeing desperation because this is coming to a head. And when that judge sentenced the Oath Keeper, I see it even on the spot. I'm getting too used to being on Bumble because I can't even say OATH is one word. So that they, makes bells go off. Oh, but anyway, they gave him such a harsh sentence because they're trying to desensitize people to harsh sentences. And also, harsh sentences related to J6. A lot have been 60 months or 24 months. If they ever even get into court, they just sit in jail and sit in jail. They're trying to normalize this stuff. But for that judge to use that kind of verbiage and to basically be, as one YouTube creator described it, fairly screaming with this feigned outrage at this accomplished, intelligent, articulate, dangerous man. You couple that with Judge Mascara and his accepting and letting these charges by Alvin Bragg continue, and his insistence on trying to belittle Trump, showing disdain for the office of the presidency and Trump supporters. It's a desperation that's moving in and becoming apparent. What they don't know, like with the documents case, for instance, the whole matter of the Mar-a-Lago raid, the whole matter of tying those documents up in the courtroom is because they don't want what's in those documents to get out. They don't want transparency. What happened to the lie about nuclear secrets? It was a lie. What documents did he have that were a threat to national security? None. All stories meant to throw like spaghetti on the wall, see what sticks. What they don't know is that Trump said we need to get to the bottom of 9/11. Nobody's done that yet. What they don't know is Trump said when he's back in the White House, he will release all of the JFK files. And what else does he want to release that's got this pack of criminals terrified? What they don't know is that they've been conditioned to view Trump as a baddie, that he had these documents, secret documents, and They weren't secret because Trump declassified them. These people are grabbing them and trying to keep things from getting out and getting to the American people. They're jailing people for being intelligent and articulate. Trump knows a lot. Trump commands big audiences. Trump has respect of other leaders around the world. That makes him a dangerous man. So, dangerous to who? Dangerous to the so-called establishment, but not to us. I didn't get to see Trump on Levin's program tonight. I wasn't going to do broadcast until I found out Weinstein. Yes, thank you, Jason. Yes, we need to see the client list. Harvey Weinstein, he went down under Trump and a lot of others. Florida's knocking them down right and left. We just had 30 arrests for P3DO files. Hi, Rick. Who did I miss? Hi, Lori. Hi, Sandy. Tubala. Yeah, another sickness. We got to watch out for that. Oh, they're desperate enough to do anything. And I've been listening to a lot of creators, and there's a train of thought that 2024 we got to be ready for it. But a train of thought that 2024 isn't going to happen. I don't know what will uh, prevent it from happening, but you could feel it in the judge's words and questions and the way he treated Trump's lawyers. You could feel it that if he could arrest Trump, he would do it. Hello, Lone Wolf. How you doing? Melvita. Is Trump going to be arrested? Well, yes, like I was saying, I could feel it. And how can he be kept safe? Can there be any scenario where the military would even allow that? But the fact that he appeared in court by video Zoom call, the CVID business is over. So I don't think that the Secret Service or the military trusts that judge or a lot of the other judges. B-Dog said Jeb Bush made a weird statement. Yeah, I'll have to see what that was. Diane says they're crazy and scared. That's right. Dangerous animals. Thank you, Cindy. I appreciate it. Thank you, honey. They said we would see tribunals in June. Who is they, Ronald? That's the question. They throw stuff out there, so we will repeat it. We got to be careful. Kind of like when everybody went to Dallas to see JFK. Boy, that's when they reported. Of course, it was all bust and made us look bad. So, who is the they that's saying there's going to be tribunals in June? And which June? So did anybody look at I'll jump back to this subject in a minute. Anybody look at those posts I was talking about? Was it 135 through 138? The banks that were owned by a particular family, and which country was not on that list? BLT 13. How you doing? Oh, Derek Johnson said that, Rick. Well, June is a few days away. A few days away, and they stretched Mr. T's trial date out to next year. Yeah, Cindy, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. The gas and the fracking. Uh, I don't know about that. I don't commit to that kind of stuff. I've been in underground facilities. I know there's spectacular underground facilities, but to the levels they're talking about, they we got enough right here on the surface of the earth that we can talk to normal people about without going off into that. But if they're whatever's down there, we're going to know about it. But I mean, they had people a couple of years ago talking about 100,000 Chinese troops were wiped out in Dums trying to come in from Canada into the United States, and that there was a galactic battle. We got to be careful what we repeat. Oh yeah, they're television generals, Cindy. Television generals. We really don't need fracking. We've got so much oil. Fracking. That's a conversation we'll get into another time. But that was a way of people got to realize that counties were were getting involved with selling or approving some land rights and underground rights, uh, things like this, to companies for money, and it. Hey, it goes a little bit deeper without getting to a whole nother subject. There's plenty of areas we can drill and extract oil without doing the fracking, but we'll see how that checks out. What's it? Yeah, Millie's going to retire. So anyway, one of the things I was talking about was how people, the lack of outrage and people don't care. I talked about the death of care as being one of their ceremonies that they do. And I also got in a conversation with somebody that I was talking about Roe v. Wade. I wasn't. The conversation just went to it. And this person, a little younger than me, said that he didn't care what a woman chose to do with her own body. And the words came out of his mouth that way. After I was doing the broadcast on not caring, he said, "Well, I don't care what a woman wants to do with her body." And that word care just rang in my ear. I was like, that's what I'm talking about. He doesn't care what a woman wants to do to her own body. And when you got somebody like that, you can't get into well, what about the body of the other person involved? Because I could tell from past conversations and deal with this person that I'd be banging my head against the wall. So I got to the point where I said to myself, well, if you don't care about what people do in life or death situations and things like that, then you won't mind if we step up to protect, right? You don't care, right? When we step up and we start passing laws, when we start putting the wood to people that are breaking laws or grooming children or any number of things we've been witnessing in the collapse of this society, when we go to straighten it out, stay out of our way. Because you don't care, remember? So just keep that in mind for the ones that don't care. And during the Revolutionary War, there were plenty of them that didn't care whether they got their liberty or not. It was the dangerous men that brought this country about, not the ones who didn't care. Get out of our way. People that don't care mean nothing. Because if they truly don't care, they don't affect either side. Either side. You don't care if Target puts a bunch of stuff about kids, a bunch of clothes that are harmful to the psychology, the psyche of children. If you don't care, well, then you won't care if we throw their backsides in jail when we get in power. You don't care what a teacher puts in front of a kid? Well, then you shouldn't care when we take that teacher out by the back of the neck and put them before a judge for violating existing laws. Just remember, you don't care when our time comes. So that's going to be my response. For the people that say, I don't get into politics, I don't care about that, that's going to be my response. You remember that. Not caring goes both ways. And if they go, and act like they want to maybe become part of the human race as far as scripture's concerned, I'll just tell them the saying I said in one of my other broadcasts. The absence of love is indifference. If you're not passionate about something, I use the example of a student who was passed by a table that had pictures of the results of terminating a pregnancy. I'll put it that way. And she went crazy and started throwing, not the one who held the machete up, not the teacher. That was after I discussed a young female student that wanted to throw the pictures and screaming and yelling, that I had more hope for that person than the ones who don't care. Because at least they have an emotional reaction to the visuals of young people whose lives have been ended. And that ties right into what I discussed about the ceremony, the death of care. So another point came to me when I was talking about Padre Pio, and I was talking about John Paul II, and I was talking about Pope Benedict and the third secret of Fatima. Padre Pio, I wasn't trying to quote the Bible when I was talking about Padre Pio. I mean, he's a 20th century saint. I mean, he was alive during my lifetime. He was alive during my parents' lifetime. He's not a faraway biblical figure. He was saying his rumination and his interpretation of what the end times could be defined as, not a biblical discussion. Somebody was quoting the Bible or questioning what his thoughts on the matter were. He's a saint. He didn't write the Bible. He's discussing things. And his description was a crucifixion of love would occur. And that is worthy of cogitation. What his feelings were and what he's trying to allude to about what humanity is going to experience. And we're seeing it now. But as we learned through Christ, they could crucify him, but they could not defeat him. And he rose after 3 days and changed the world. So this parallel that Padre Pio discussed in a conversation with a friend draws many parallels in the end times. The witnesses, they'll be killed and they'll lay in the streets, mocked, kicked, uh, abused for 3 days in the streets. Wow. Well, if there's going to be a crucifixion of love, and then there's going to be 3 days. It's just so many parallels. It really gives you chills. So, no, if you talk to them right, you'll find out if they do care or not, or if they are truly reprobate. We always say, "Oh, it's never too late," and God loves everybody, and Jesus loves everybody, and well, there is a point where a person can become reprobate, and it's up to them to seek God out and to start caring. And I think that's the first time if somebody truly does not have an opinion or care about what's going on in this country, especially with the little ones, if they're genuine in that position, I think you're dealing with a reprobate. And a reprobate means somebody that there's no good to be drawn out of them. They're like cold fish, spiritually and emotionally. Ian says, I got a warning for telling a troll T loves him. Yeah, T owns the expensive real estate in their heads. Oh, what's that? Dope Banana has a Disney sticker on them. Saw that at the grocery store. I didn't know that. Just looking through the. I tell you, I had a older fella I talked to years ago. Oh, this might have been 40 years ago, maybe more than that. And he really focused in his readings on the Bible. He was really convinced over 40 years ago that we were in the end times. That was when the troubles in the Middle East were starting up. It was after the hostage crisis, and I guess it was, man, it might have been I don't know, it was a long time ago. So most of his Bible readings, and this was back in the day, and he'd come around, I go, oh man, here I gotta listen. He would get into stuff and get into passages and compare them to what was happening today or back then today. And I asked him, I said, well, and he would say, well, this country in the Bible, they call it Gog, Magog, and he would say what he thought everything was, which country that was today and stuff. And one day I said, well, what does it say about what's going to happen to America? And he didn't have a snappy answer. He kind of got quiet. And he stood there and he said, I looked and looked and looked. He said, the only thing I could find concerning America is that it would be pruned back. I said, pruned back? He said, yeah, pruned back. I said, so we're not going to get destroyed. I was young, And he said, well, I don't know. He said, all I could find was pruned back. And when you look at what's happening now with Saudi Arabia, Russia, and the BRICS nations going up against the G7, which they call the golden billion, the G7 golden billion. Then you've got with BRICS, it's the golden 3 or 4 billion, the way they're going. So as far as influence, monetary influence, there's no doubt America's being pruned back. As far as our influence on foreign policy, if there wasn't a war unless we approved it. Now, that's not the case. So our influence is definitely being pruned back. So we all instinctively go to comparing what's happening today to apocryphal writings about the end times. I mean, it's only natural. And many generations have done the same thing. Let's see. You didn't get enough notification, Outlandish. You gotta check your notifications again. I think they got a two-step process if you want your phone to buzz. If you hit the bell one time or just one part of the notification thing, it'll notify you when you're on YouTube. But if you're not on YouTube, it won't notify you. You got to do something else for that. Just look it through here. Congratulations, Outlandish. Let's see. Whoa, wait a second. I bugged the you-know-what out of him, and he finally woke up a little. Those were the most beautiful eyes I ever saw. Ha ha ha. Thomas O'Neill. Let me see what you got here, buddy. January 6th insurrection. Us heroes, they are traitors and are in prison where they belong. And hopefully their shameless leader will be joining them shortly. Okay, Thomas. Well, we don't put people in jail for 3 years without a trial, and we don't withhold videotapes, and we don't accuse people of things they didn't do. So, that's not how the country works, Thomas. And I want to have a good discussion with you. You're not being nasty or using bad language and stuff. But Mr. T is going to come back, and a lot of those people basically were invited through and walked through. I mean, what do you think of that, Thomas, of the people that were walking around and didn't do anything, that are in jail and don't even have a trial date? How many is it? 300 of them still? How many are left in there, folks, that they really haven't had any trial date or anything? How many people are still in there? And what have we had trials and their cases been taken care of? I don't know, like a dozen? I mean, what's the holdup on these people? The 300 or so. It might be more than that. I'm not sure the number. Where'd it go? Thomas, there you go. What do you make of that, Thomas? Haha, thank you, Outlandish Patriot. Anyway, all right. Whenever Thomas gets up, I'm just asking What do you think, to make the answer a little, so you don't have to type out a whole paragraph? What about the people that are in jail now that didn't throw anything or do anything? They were like just there, uh, and they don't have a trial date, and they're held in some pretty nasty conditions. I mean, we're talking about a couple hundred people. Whoa, I got a notification. Lone Wolf. Thank you for the coffee, Lone Wolf. I'm going to say this is a viewer supported and creator supported channel only. I've got a uh, link in the description for Buy Me a Coffee. Anybody wants to help the channel out, I appreciate it. I don't get anything from any platform that I'm on. Totally viewer supported. And I want to thank Aaron. Aaron chipped in last night after the broadcast. I appreciate it, Aaron. When you get to hear this, now he's the godfather. He started everything out. And Gary, I hadn't seen Gary in a while. I was going to say Aaron's the godfather, and Gary's getting to be full bird colonel in this information dissemination operation. So, and I wanted to find out how his date went. I told everybody that I've got about 68 to 70% female viewers and 32% male viewers. And I said a long time ago, if people wanted to meet nice, God-fearing women, to come to Mountain Man's channel. So I'm going to see if we get any updates how that went. But anyway, I don't see anything from Thomas. I knew some O'Neills, Irish family, and they were Democrats to the bone. They were JFK, Hubert Humphrey, Mo Udall. I mean, Democrats, not the crowd that's in there now. No way. They'd have never stood for it. Never stood for it. But I don't know what part of the country you're from, but Anyway, let's see. But I tell you, another point that I wanted to bring up was this situation with like Sam Bankman-Fried. I call him Scam Stankman Fraud, and the banks collapse and all that. We haven't heard anything from that. Hi, Lone Wolf. Thank you. Appreciate it. But I tell you, that was an operation in itself, tying into what I heard some people, I'm not sure whose program it was, might have been Nikki's, but where people were like amazed that their children were turning on them. They were losing their relationships with their children. Their children were telling them they were criminals for supporting Mr. T. And it's got to break a parent's heart to have their kid come home and say, I think I'm non-binary. So that grandchildren thing, you can pretty much scratch that off, Mom and Dad. You're never going to be have grandkids. With what they did in social media was put this Stankman fraud up, and what you had was a sloppily dressed gamer who was put in charge of this cryptocurrency company, and they're saying, well, here he is. He created all this money by giving to people, by being just like you want to be, unkempt, playing video games, and look how rich and successful he is. What they're creating are uninformed, helpless individuals, no skills, no sense of identity, and some ready-made rage with a chip on their shoulder against their own parents. This is perfect. Is perfect for mob violence, really, for these people. They're individually incompetent. They're physically weak. They don't have a rational point of view. But so individually, how can they deal with you? They can't answer questions. They can't respond to statements of fact. All they can say is orange man bad. And we say, well, the things that I discussed earlier about Epstein going to jail, about Harvey Weinstein going to jail, about Ghislaine Maxwell going to jail, about the labor secretary being removed. All those things, they're matters of fact. But when they get in a crowd and the bricks start flying, they're perfect for that. Because somewhere in the fog of their mind, they're just justified, that they're righteous. I saw a video today where there was a guy, kind of like a TikTok video or whatever, but he was comparing the Normandy landing. How many of you all saw this? The Normandy landing. He was saying that they were the ultimate Antifa warriors. The D-Day landing. He was claiming that they were heroes of Antifa. And any student of history and political science can look at what Antifa's creeds are, their writings, what little bit there is, the things they support. They're behaving in a way that is like Mussolini's black shirts. And Mussolini was an Italian fascist. Good night, Mike. You're leaving us. Yeah, people need to have a bunch more dinners together. No, they're sucking down Starbucks and sleeping till noon. The new generation. Have a great night, Mike. Oh my goodness, Melvita. I'm sorry to hear that. Well, I haven't heard back from our friend earlier in the chats. I won't keep bringing his name up. But he just threw out a generalized statement about the people at J6. And I asked a question. What about the ones that didn't do anything? They were just there. Do they belong in jail for 3 years without a trial? Is that the way we want things done in this country? Of course not. But there can't be an answer for that. So you don't get an answer. So anyway, did anybody get to see Mr. T on Mark Levin's show? Mark Levin was putting out some stuff. It was a couple of weeks ago, but it seemed that he was kind of like leaning toward DeSantis. But I noticed like 5 days in a row, Mr. T had been putting up Mark Levin's program and some of Mark Levin's posts and talking very positively about Levin. So I don't know what the story is on that. And now Trump was a guest on his show tonight. Did any of you all get to see that? I think that is Mr. T reaching out to the old guard Republicans. Mike Levin I talked to him a couple of times, and I was friends with somebody that worked with him in the Reagan White House. Mark Levin was part of the work for the Justice Department under Reagan. So he could fairly be called a constitutional scholar. Mark Levin. He wrote a number of books about natural law and things of that nature. So it's going to be interesting to catch the highlights of that. And I'm sure they'll be posted very soon. But I'm pretty interested in that because word on the street was, or people were saying that Levin was trying to, or maybe DeSantis was trying to cozy up to Mark Levin. I don't know. But I remember listening to Mark Levin years ago. And yes, he posted his support for him. For who? Levin posted his support for Ron. Hopefully he has changed heart, but I think we're going to see where everybody's loyalty stands. Okay. All right. Yeah, we'll see. And we'll see how he treated. Well, no, Levin's going to have respect for the office of the presidency, no matter who he's talking to. If Levin is swaying to Santos, he is getting turned off as well. As far as you turning the TV off, or I don't think he's swinging toward DeSantis, and I think that is something that's I've discussed in the past. DeSantis is, I think, down with the program. I think he's working with the White Hats, and that him and Trump are doing a dance. You look at what the Republican Party has put out just with Nikki Haley, of course, Donald Trump, Nikki Haley, DeSantis, Tim Scott. I mean, you're putting names out there that not a lot of lefties, quote, hate, They're well, DeSantis, a lot of the wild left hates DeSantis, but not your average Democrat doesn't dislike DeSantis to a high degree. So you're showing all these different choices, but all those votes are going in the same direction. Okay, so we're getting people to look at this party. What do you have on the Democrat side? What I was saying last night, you got Joe and RFK, but they're tamping him down. They don't want him to get any exposure. So the party is just, uncharismatic, showing every day to be criminal. That's what they've got. Not something you would proudly put a bumper sticker on the back of your car or on the back of your Prius. Well, we'll see, Wolfpack. Mr. T did most of the talking. That's good. Well, anyway, folks, I hope you all had a great Memorial Day weekend. And thank you all for tuning in. Let me jabber babble about some stuff. And re-hit your notification bell if it's they're cutting it off. So anyway, I'll be going live soon. And I appreciate y'all tuning in and spending your precious time with me. This is Mountain Man, over and out.